Good morning and happy Wednesday. Today you have practice with all of the things that you've been learning about your linear functions, and the goal is to get them all into slope-intercept form. So I've given you the information in multiple different ways, multiple different forms, and I want you to put it in slope-intercept form. So what I was going to do is go through and give you one example in each section so you kind of know what I'm asking you to do. So I'm going to do number 1 for you. You guys will do 2, 3, and 4 the same way. So number 1 is in standard form because you see we have ax, by equals c. And a, b, and c are our numerical values. Just like the word problems you had in the notes that you were given, a would be the price of one thing, and then however many you have. B would be the price of the other item, and however many you have, set equal to some sort of total. So what we want to do is get this in slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, which means I need to get everything over here away from y. I need to get anything that has the x attached to it, and then the b needs to be over here, but I need to keep y completely by itself over here. So usually what I have you guys do is to circle or box whatever you're trying to get by itself. We're not trying to get x by itself, we're trying to get y by itself. So I'm going to put a box around the y. This is what I want to get by itself. So what is over here on this side of the equation that needs to move? Well, first we do add or subtract. We always add or subtract first and then multiply or divide, right? So we do PEMDAS backwards because we're undoing a problem. So we say, is there anything that's not attached to our letter that we can add or subtract? Well, this entire 5x, the whole thing can just come over here. There's no need to divide that 5 away. I need both of these parts to move. I don't need just one. So we're just going to move the whole thing. So now we have 3y set equal to negative 5x plus 12, right? I have a negative 5x and a positive 12. I can't combine these because one has an x and one is just a number. However, when I choose to rewrite them side by side, instead of writing 12 minus 5x, if I know I want it in this form and I want anything with the x to be first, I'm going to write the negative 5x first. So we have one last thing to do to get y by itself, and that's to divide that 3 away. And what you do to one side, you have to do to the other, but you also have to do it to everything on the other side. So that goes away. So we have y set equal to negative 5/3 x plus 4, right? 12 divided by 3 just reduces down to 4. So this is just like our multi-step equation problems. I'm telling you what specific letter to solve for, so you need to move everything away from that letter. And in standard form, what you typically do, the order that you'll see, is you move the value that has the x with it to the other side, the whole thing. The whole thing comes over, and then you divide away anything that's stuck to the y. So in this one, I would subtract 4x, rewrite it, divide by 3. In this one, I would move the 5x, subtract 5x, rewrite it, divide by negative 2. It's the same thing we did here. We subtracted 5x, so it's now on this side. We rewrite it, and we divide by 3. So there's typically 2 steps you do in these types of problems. So that's how you're rewriting from standard form to slope-intercept form. Now let's look at a graph. Say you've been given a graph, and I'm asking you to tell me the equation for the graph. Remember, the 2 things you need to know are the m and the b, right? And I'll write it again right here. Y equals mx plus b. You need to know the slope and the y-intercept. And you can see that on these graphs. So we're going to start, and I told you right here, start with the y-intercept, your b value. Move to the next exact point on the line to find your slope. So if I start on the y-intercept, which it looks like it's right here, my b is negative 2. Okay, so I'm going to start here. I need to figure out what my m is, or how I'm moving. What's my slope? So from here, I've got to move to up here. So I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I rise 7, and I go left 1. Well, we know that can just be reduced to -7 because it's a whole number over 1. So now that I have my m and my b, all I have to do is rewrite it. Y equals m x. And I could write plus the actual b, which is -2, but plus -2 is the same thing as just -2. Right? If we're adding a negative, we're just subtracting. I need to box that as well. And that's all you're going to do. Start on your your y-intercept, move to the next exact point, and figure out how you're moving. And that's your slope. Your y-intercept and your slope. Your y-intercept and your slope. Those are the two things you need to make your equation. Moving on to the next type. You have point-slope form. Okay, again, to get it into slope-intercept form, you're trying to get y by itself. I'll write slope-intercept form again up here for you. That's what I'm trying to get it into. This is what I have. It looks to me like once I simplify this, there's just one thing I need to move. That's what it looks like. So if I distribute that, we get -1/3 x minus 1. And I'm just going to bring this side down. And the way that I got -1 right here is I turned this into a fraction, and I did numerators times denominators. That's how we multiply fractions. 1 times 3 is 3. 3 times 1 is 3. So that's just 1. And because this is negative and this is positive and the signs don't match, I know that it stays a negative. If you need to write all that out and then get to the -1, that's totally fine. So at this point, I just have to minus that 2. And it goes right there. Because this is not a like term. This has an x attached to it. This is just a number, so it only combines to this one back here. So the final answer will be y equals -1/3 x minus 3. Okay, so you guys have had practice with this before. You had a whole worksheet on this when we did point slope notes. So all you're doing is distributing and moving that away from the y. Now I will tell you, this one, what do we know about this? There's no way you can write this in slope-intercept form because there's no x on this side. It's just y set equal to a number. So I want you to tell me what type of line this is. Use your notes and tell me what kind of line this is. And for this one, I want you to tell me what the slope and the y-intercept actually are, because as you can see, it's already in slope-intercept form. So these you're going to have to move. These you don't. These are special circumstances. So this one you're going to tell me what type of slope. And this one, tell me what the slope and the y-intercept are from what you're seeing. Those are kind of tricky, but you can do it. And then you have 3 tables as well. So for the tables, I'm going to do, I'll do 14. I'll go right down to the middle one. So remember, for the tables, we label this run because our x-axis runs horizontally. And we label y rise because it rises up and down. So now we just start finding the difference between each number. So that's 0 to 2 is +2. Sorry, it keeps going blurry. 2 to 4 is +2. 4 to 10 is +6. 10 to 16 is +6. So if slope is rise over run, it's going to be 6/2. Maybe if I zoom in, it'll do better. It's going to be 6/2, which is going to reduce down to 3. So I now know my slope, and I can just choose a point, plug it in. So if m is 3, I'm going to choose an x and a y of 2 and 10. That's the point I'm going to use. And I'm going to use point slope form. Point slope form is y minus y1 equals m x minus x1. So I'm going to plug in all the things that I have. Y minus the y that I chose, 10, equals the m that I solved for, x minus the x that I have, 2. Okay, so I distribute 3x minus 6, bring this down, and I need this to go to the other side so that my y is completely by itself. this is my slope-intercept form. Now there's a hint in here. Remember, if you ever, and this is in your notes, if you ever see where x is 0 in a table, the number beside that, that's your y-intercept. So you don't even have to plug any numbers in. If you know that your slope is 3 and you see this in the table, you can just say, oh, my b is 4. Isn't that what we solved for and got? It is. And you can see this and just go ahead and write this. But if it's hard for you to remember that trick, you can always plug them in. You'll never go wrong that way either. So those are the types of ways that information has been given to you. Again, either in standard form as a graph, in point slope form, or in a table. And go ahead and do the rest of them on your own. Good luck. If you have questions, feel free to comment or email me.